Hey everybody, and welcome back to the non-league adventure with me, GWFM, playing as ECFC in the Barclays Premier League in my personal 12th season. Starting our 12th season, it's the 8th with Eastleigh, after taking over for the 18-19 season. And yeah, we've got some big news, so I'll get into that big news right now. The first big news is that Lukunku's gone. Absolutely devastated about it. They offered a shitload of money for him, basically. They offered 29 million or so. I'll just get on to his history. It says 24 million, but it's a load of add-ons, and basically we ended up selling him because they came in for him that submitted a final offer, a bit similar to the Pedro one, where I thought if I'm going to decline it, he's going to get upset, and in turn out the rest of the squad will get upset. I think that's one of the main reasons why I've done quite well on this game. It's because I've kept everyone happy. So if it means selling the best players, I've done it. And yeah, very disappointed to see him go. Of course, he was the player of the season last year. You can see he played 2 seasons for us, kept for £6 million. I think the offer was worth about 38.5 million in the end. Yeah, so basically it's a case of I've had to let him go. So I think overall we are going to be slightly weaker. No, so absolutely devastated that I've had to lose this guy, because he's been an absolute talisman for us for the last couple of seasons. Came in, he took over the mantle of best player from Sanchez when he left last season, that was another gutting moment. I'm just hoping I'm going to have someone now that can step up and take his mantle. We'll have to wait and see. Reece Oxford is gone. He's gone to Sheffield United. A massive loss we've made on him. 10 million we've payed for him. We only got 1.6 million for him. It was valued all of a sudden for some reason. It's about 800 grand. So I decided to let him go. I managed to get double the amount for him. So I was happy to let him go. He just didn't play very well for us. If I put the history on, he got less than a 7 both seasons. Both seasons. Which, yeah, I suppose it's not bad, but in the big games he always just seemed to blow it, and I wanted to try and get some more defenders in, and I thought with me getting extra defenders in, he's going to have less playing time. Another shock might be that someone else, Everton have come in for another one of our big players, and that is George Davis. Now, again, I didn't want to sell him. I've ended up selling him for 27 million, which is more than Lukunku, and I'm almost certain there's some more add-ons as well. I was very happy with him. He covered a couple of positions for us, but again, it was money I couldn't pass up, especially when I wanted to try and rebuild the squad in other areas. So I took the risk and I let him go, knowing that we've got Mariscal still. I was hoping to get Marie as well, but I'll come on to that shortly. Karim Rekic, Stade Rennais came in for him with some money. He was on his last year of his contract, so I thought, you know what, yeah, I'll let you go. You're going to be 32 at the turn of the year, so you'll start to decline rapidly. He was Mr. Reliable, but again, I've let you know now I've signed 2 defenders. I'll show you them shortly. He'll be greatly missed because he did do really well for us. He got over a 7.14 last season as well, 6.96 in his first season. But yeah, a very resilient player for us. I think he did well for us, and I'm kind of sad to see him go, but the fact is he's 31 years old and he's not exactly a testimonial sort of time. So the only other notable out, which came as a surprise really, he's gone to newly promoted Sheff Wednesday, and he's now valued at 6 million, which I find bizarre, but they've signed him for 2.7 million pounds. That was an outright fee. They initially offered for about 1.5. I just offered I think for 4, and then they just gave like a final offer, and I thought, you know what, I've got a young kid coming in, I'll show you him shortly, and I think he could take his place. So I decided to let him go. He was very it was a big game player. We've made some money on him as well. 145k we paid for Eastleigh. So yeah, I've been very happy with the business we've done with him. Just a bit of a shame to see him go, because he has done really well for us. But you know, we have to move on. So that's the outs. I'm going to now move on to the ins. So this is the most important thing. So first to come in, a couple of youngsters. I'll start with this one first. Is Alex Michael, got released by Man United. Saw him as a a guy who maybe got a bit of potential. He's got fairly decent determination. He's brave. He's got some half decent physicals for an 18-year-old. Didn't think that were bad, and obviously his finishing and heading stands out. So he's got all the basics for a complete forward. Obviously he's not complete forward worthy yet. He's got a lot of work to do on certain aspects of his game, but I'm going to try and do that. I think he's getting tutored by someone as well. I know he was going to get tutored, I think, but he ended up going out on loan. Down at Oxford, get on loan actually, get some game time there. The next guy I brought in was this guy, it's Elliot Crook. He is very versatile, but I'm going to be primarily training him up to be an inside forward. More for the fact that he's got a lot of pace. He can work on some aspects of his game to benefit it. He's not got that low stats. His like lowest is 8 in the key parts of his game. So if we can work on some of them, we're going to be laughing. And his determination's actually gone up as well. Well, 1.6 but 2. But yeah, going back to his profile. A lot of potential for him to grow. I'm just hoping if his determination increases, I think the rest of his game will increase. So he's come on a free transfer from Arsenal after getting released from there. Primarily a attacking midfielder, but hopefully he'll become a decent inside forward. So we'll have to wait and see how he turns out. Then the first of the big money transfers is this guy here, Roy Martins. You might have seen his name before. We've signed him from Derby County. He's 22-year-old Dutch international. I'm expecting big things from him, quite literally because he's 6'6". He's got strength 20, jumping reach 19, heading 15, which could be a little bit better, and so could his tackling at 14. Marking 18 though, position 15 again could be better, but you know, his all-round mental game I was very impressed with, and obviously still young, so that's only going to improve. He's got the potential to become a 4-star player. We did pay 21.5 million for him. If I just go to this, he's commanded quite a few big fees, but ours was the biggest. He only had one season at Derby, but yes, he's been very impressive since joining. Well, I say he's been very impressive. He's got a couple of goals in pre-season, 6.88 average rating, but you'll see why it's not the highest in pre-season very shortly. The next player we brought in was another centre-back, and this is Nat Breakspear. You know, he's 6 foot tall, he's not the best at jumping, and his heading and marking are tackling like the bare minimum, I think, for the Premier League for successful teams anyway. But positioning is 19, that's what stood out to me. Determination, all his mentals are very good as well. So I was very impressed with this guy when getting him in. He's 17 years old as well, and I just think he's quite a good addition really. He's brave as well, so I expect him to win a lot of headers and whatever, even despite that, because he's going to be throwing his body in the way with his bravery and that, if you know what I mean. So we signed him from Southampton. Southampton, did they get relegated? No, they got promoted from the Championship to the Premier League, but we've pounced to take him for £16 million. It might seem a lot, but I just think it could be really worth it. I'm just hoping to improve a few attributes like his first touch. I think and his passing. That's two of the main things I think that put me off last time. I did look at him a couple of years ago, but I think his passing was like 4 or something. So it has improved already, but just not with us. But he's still 23 years old. He's got a little bit of room for improvement. We can get his passing and his first touch up, then I think we're laughing with this guy here. So then we needed a replacement for Lukunku, and this is the best I could find for a reasonable amount of money. Now this guy had a minimum fee release clause because he got relegated from the Premier League with Crystal Palace. Now obviously I signed George Davis from a relegated side last season in Southampton, and you know, he was awesome for us last season. I'm hoping for a similar impact from this guy, and if you can see at the bottom of the screen, I think you can, yes you can just see the average rating is 7.84, and that's despite playing against some decent sides. You'll soon see who they were. But yes, I've been very impressed with this guy since coming in as a replacement for Lukunku. If you look at his stats for an advanced playmaker, you can see there why I've decided to bring him in. His passing technique and vision are decent for that side, for this role. His flair is 17, which is always nice. His mentals are very good, apart from bravery, but it's not so much needed for an advanced playmaker on the wing. Yeah, he's 25 years old. it could improve a little bit more. He's now valued at 9.5, and we actually got him for £8.25 million, which is, I thought, was a snip really. Well, it's basically like what, a sixth of what we paid for what we got for Lukunku, obviously minus the like 10% I think that they got for the deal itself. But yeah, I'm happy to see this guy come in. He's got some good stats. He's been playing very well in the friendlies so far, so I'm hoping that he'll be able to just take over that mantle that has been left from Lukunku, because he was such a key man. Next is probably a well-known player. He has dropped in his current ability and potential ability for some reason. But it's Andre Dozzell, one of the youngest players in the game. He's now 27 on this game, and he is going to be the roaming playmaker for us this season. I'm hoping he's going to improve in his finishing a little bit, just to boost his rating for the roaming playmaker, because everything else looks alright. His physicals aren't amazing, but they're good enough, I think. You know, his mentals are brilliant. Up at nothing below a 10, and just a couple of his technicals could do a little bit of work. That's why I haven't got him as a box-to-box, because his tackling's not the best, and neither is his finishing. Could do with his dribbling improving as well. We are currently working on his finishing just to try and improve it. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But we've managed to sign him from Derby County. We've raided Derby for a couple of players this season, and we've got him for £11 million. I did look at him a couple of years ago before he went to Derby, when he got relegated with Aston Villa. But yeah, I'm very happy to bring this guy in. He's started the season quite well in terms of the pre-season. 7.61 average rating in the friendlies. Again, bear in mind the teams that we've been playing against. So yeah, I'm hoping he's going to be a big player for us. Florian Bernard, left back. Kowalski wasn't going to come back on loan. Ironic, now I've got a replacement, is now available for loan. But which I would have just stuck with him. I'd have saved my money on this guy, Florian Bernard, but I'm very happy with this guy. He's valued at £14 million. We didn't pay that for him. We paid 11 from Sevilla. And as you can see why I've got him really. The other thing really lets him down is his jumping reach. His heading could be a little bit better as well, but solid all-round game. His passing could do with being a little bit better for a full-back. I suppose it needs to be on support, doesn't it? There we go. Passing is what we're working on at the minute with him, but otherwise his physicals are great, his mentals are decent, so I'm very happy with this acquisition. And then the last of the big money transfers is Goncalves. He came up on our scouting report, I want to say. We've paid a decent amount for him. He can play attacking midfielder or on the left hand side, and he can play the inside forward role pretty damn well as well. And you can see he's got a lot of 15s everywhere, so it'll be a no-brainer to sign him. We only paid 8.25 million. He had a minimum fee release clause, so we activated that. I just thought he'd be a good person to have on the left side to challenge Vukitic for that starting role. They're both probably on a par with each other, so I'm very happy to bring this guy in. We've got a couple more youngsters that we signed. This is the most expensive one that we've brought in. I was looking at another one, but I've run out of money. I couldn't sign him from Dortmund. It's a shame, because he really looks the part as well. The problem is with him, Cohen Overmars here, he got injured for 6 to 7 weeks, which was not ideal at all. It made me have a look at the coaching staff and what have you, and we had the worst physiotherapists in the league. So I've since got 2 more physios, like 20 rated for physiotherapy, so I'm hoping that's going to improve the state of injuries, if you like. But yeah, this is the guy I brought in to replace Villinden, basically. I thought, well, he's 17 years old, he's Dutch, he's got a lot of potential, a hell of a lot of potential, and he's already a 2-star ability, which is what Villinden was. So I thought there's every opportunity for him to increase. I mean, he's already like nearly a full pie chart for advanced playmaker. His passing obviously could do with some work, but everything else that you need is pretty damn awesome, really. He's going to be learning from Goncalves. It's been tutored, sorry, so hopefully his mentals and all that lot will go up. He's determined as well, which means he'll hopefully strive to improve. And yeah, he's going to be a good player, I think, as long as we can get him some games. But I'm just hoping he's not going to be it's just going to be an injury waiting to happen. He did actually get injured on international duty for the under-18s Dutch team as well, which was a bit of a pain as well. He's actually out for 4 to 6 weeks. I think it was like 2 to 3 months actually he were out. So because it happened literally like the 2nd or 3rd game into pre-season. Well, for as well as 6'4" as well, so that's quite a tall player to have in your team, so it can always only stand you in good stead. Cohen Overmars, just to finish off, I forgot to mention it, that we paid 3.2 million for him, which is quite a lot for a youngster, but I think there's a lot to come from him. So moving on to Erik Andre Christensen even. Doesn't look amazing at this moment in time, but you can see there his potential is potentially 4.5 star. And I'm going to retrain this guy to be a box-to-box midfielder because I think his stats could suit it. Balance could do with some work, but everything else it could do with some improvement. But he's got some decent starting stats. If you like, he's 16 years old. Don't forget. He's only little. He's 5'8", plays 1-2s and tries long-range passes at this moment in time. I might have to look at some of them maybe. I'm not too sure on the long-range passing with it fitting into our system. But he was relatively cheap. Paid 275 grand to Bodo Glimt. So it was a cheap risk, if you like, and it can cover a couple of positions as well. Not that we're going to be using attacking midfielders, I don't think, anytime soon, but it can do a little bit of a job as a defensive midfielder if needs be, which was a position I was maybe thinking about converting him to. And if you think I should do that, let us know in the comments, because it is something that is crossing my mind, because I think his stats do suggest that he could do that as well, as long as he can improve his tackling and his marking perhaps. But his vision's decent, passing could do with some work. I just think that he could probably do something. I think he is actually being tutored by by Liam Walsh. So last two guys then, and they're both on loan. This is a guy from relegated Crystal Palace. He's basically just covered because of the injury to Overmars. He's on loan for the season. He probably won't play that many games, but he's purely backup. And one thing that did stand out was his determination of 20 and his natural fitness, which means he's probably going to be a decent option if any injuries do occur. Hopefully we won't get any, but I needed some cover. He's on loan for a loan fee of 325 grand in the end. Basically, that's all it's going to cost us. That's all it's going to cost us for the season. It's probably a bit overpriced, but I did need someone. And then finally we got from Bayer Leverkusen, this guy, basically he was a backup. He said 3.5 star current ability and potential ability via my scouts. Get him in, and even like my best coaches with the best judging, which I think is 17 ability, and I still think he's only 2.5 stars. So a bit gutted about this. He's valued at £10 million, which is why I thought, oh, it must be decent. But he's going to be the backup defensive midfielder, and he can, if need be, do a job at central defence. But it's unlikely I'd use him there, only like if there were like a sending off or something like that. But he's purely backup to Ledesma. Ledesma's been solid since signing in the January transfer window, so I'm hoping for more of the same. But this guy should be adequate replacement should we need him. Look at his mentals, even his physicals to some extent are pretty good. His technicals are what let him down really at this moment in time, but that's things you can work on. And we actually signed him again for 625 grand for the year. It's just as a backup. It's like signing someone on a 1-year deal, so I'm not too disappointed. So that rounds it up, and you might think, whoa, that's a lot of free transfers, but yeah, the only ones really of note we could consider of note. Let's just have a quick look. The only ones of note really, you could say there's AD White, who's finally left. He did start off on 15 pace, he's now declined to 8 pace, so yeah, it says it all really, but he's still got some decent mentals and that, but obviously he's not going to make it in the Premier League now. And I don't think there's anyone else really of note that's left the club apart from on loan. I'm pretty pleased about this guy, Pivaric, getting some game time in the Championship with Blackburn Rovers. Pretty suited about that really, because he will probably increase a lot more now. I can already see that his mentals at the bottom, like the teamwork and work rate, they've already gone up because I believe they were single figures. Yeah, so other than that, you've got Brett Carroll's gone to Chesterfield in League One again. Last chance saloon, I think, for him. I'll be honest with you, I think he's probably going to end up getting released at the end of the year. Yeah, most likely. Alex Michael, we know about. He's gone out on loan to Oxford United. Guillermo's gone out on loan to Oxford United as well with this 2.5 star potential. And Kevin Harris has gone out on loan as well to Ebbsfleet, to our feeder club. So yeah. So in total we spent 80.42 million and we made 55.95 million. Now you might be thinking, GW, I'm sure you said at the end of last season that you had 40 million to spend, and you'd be correct, but the problem is 90%. I asked for an increase of how much we get from player sales. They gave us it, but it wasn't from 75. I thought, oh, they'll go to 100%. We had like 20 odd million or something left in the bank, probably even more. And he said, and they turned around and said, no, it's just 90%. So all the money that I've made, I only got 90% of that. So you're talking what? About 48 million of that I think I got. So if you work it out, it's probably about right. And as a result, I've got 1 million left and I'm over the wage budget. So Martin's been getting some interest. I've been trying to look at this guy to loan him as a backup defensive midfielder, backup centre midfielder, because, which I'm hoping they're going to accept. Well, they've accepted it sort of already. It's just whether he wants to come. Because if you look at this squad now, looks very strong in defence and goalkeeper, and the wingers look very strong as well. 3.5 stars, like the bare minimum, I think, for a challenging sort of side for European contention, I think. Roy Brewer, surprisingly, even though he's like 3.5 star there, only a 3 star as a complete forward. But these are our main midfielders at the minute, because Mariscal got injured as well. Surprise, surprise. Pretty much all. I think in the first pre-season friendly he got an injury, and he were out for like 6 to 8 weeks or something. No, it might have been 4 to 5 weeks. That's right, yeah. So missed all pre-season, so he's going to be miles off. But again, another injury to a key man, and it made me think, well, actually, yeah, we're a bit short in midfield here. So that's why I'm trying to get another midfielder on loan, because Marie's not available for to be sent out on loan. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Liam Walsh has been deputising for Mariscal alongside Andre Dazelle, because obviously we lost Davis as well, which I was gutted about that really, but I couldn't pass up the money. I thought, think of the players I could bring in. So, and I got a bit greedy, I suppose, from that regard. As a result, you got Hesenthaler, who's still kicking about. Probably going to keep him in the squad this season. He won't play, but he's a former captain. He did get actually recommended to be the vice captain, but I decided to go for Dazelle because Brewer's a captain still. But look at those mentals there for Dazelle. That's one of the reasons why I brought him in, and that's why I've chosen him as captain. So yeah, we're shy on midfield centres because he's like our best option. Christensen, maybe to some degree Elliot Crook as well, but they're going to be playing first team, reserve team football this season. I think they're just there, just like call upon if we need them. So for a change, we're not predicted to finish bottom. Predicted to finish mid-table 11th, and that's our actual predictions. That's our what the board want us to achieve this season is a mid-table finish. So I wasn't going to go and choose any higher because we're easily at the end of the day. We're not going to be beating these sort of teams anytime soon. I don't think. Everton are predicted to finish above Chelsea, which is surprising. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Is this interesting season because we've lost Lukunku, and obviously it's going to be pretty tough. It's pretty tough replacing him. I'm hopeful that I've forgotten his name already. Graham Townsend. I'm hoping he's going to fill the void perfectly with his passing ability and his technique and work rate. He's got some really good stats. I'm hoping that if you ignore this compared to Lukunku, who was like 4.5 star, then I'm hoping that we can still get some good performances and still do well. But it's just a midfield centre that's leaving me a bit underwhelmed at this moment in time. Let's quickly show you the friendlies, what's happened so far. I was going to do the Chelsea game, but I think because of the length of the video, it's already, I mean, I've got to edit bits, but I would imagine I'll only lose about 5 minutes or so. I'm nearly at 30 minutes, so sorry, apologies, but it's going to be no game today on this particular video. It'll have to be, in fact, the first game I might do might be Man United, just to try and get some payback after that horrendous goal that the game shafted me with. Yeah, so we're going to the friendlies. As you can see, we beat us under 21s 2-0 thanks to goals from Dazelle and Breakspear, which obviously this is a reserve, so I wasn't really expecting anything. We went to Singapore for our training camp, which is not surprising we didn't lose. Most surprisingly is, just bear in mind, Martins and Roy Brewer scored there. Was this result here. They had 3 shots all game, 2 on target, and they both went in him. It was actually after I brought on Olli Jääskeläinen, to be fair. Brewer getting a couple of goals in that game as well. Again, not destroying anyone. That's the only problem. And these teams were nobodies, you know, really, in the scheme of things. Sorry if you're a fan of Selangor, but never mind. So yeah, we beat them 2-0. Solid display again. Not really created it. Not really conceding many chances. And then we played Birmingham. We did have quite a lot of injuries and what have you. And the one thing that really bugs me about this game, it happened last season with Martin. Breakspear could not be selected. It said ineligible because he'd already played in a game that day, but there was no evidence of it. He didn't play for England under 21s, he didn't play for England, and he didn't play for us, and he didn't play for the reserves or anything. So I just don't understand why it does that. If anyone's got any ideas as to why it does that, let us know in the comments below, because it really pissed me off to that, because as a result then in the second half I'd like Jake Hesenthaler playing in central defence just to give the other centre-backs a rest. And like, yeah, we had injuries to both the Dick and Walker Peters, so we had Lewis Hayter, take that in, yeah. He was playing at right back for about 3 other games. It didn't really matter against the lesser teams, but against Birmingham it did matter, and he played shocking in that game. So yeah, bit disappointing to lose against Birmingham, because they're a League One side on this game. But then obviously we had, for some reason I forgot to change it to home, but we played Bayern away and obviously got trounced 5-0. The best player on the game apparently is Max Paul. I think they only had 5 shots on target, or 6 shots on target. But yeah, look at those stats, take that in though. I mean, that's the sort of player we could, you know, really dream of. And the nice thing about this game is that we played against a former man. He came off the bench, Giovanni Sanchez. This is him, this is the guy we sold for 29 million last season. It's on the rotation policy. I tried to see if I could have a sneaky bid for on loan, but they weren't having none of it. And then followed that up with a home game against Real Madrid, which was on TV. And you know what, it was the most boring game going. There was one chance all game, and it was early in the second half. But I'm quite pleased with this. It's Real Madrid, for Christ's sake. I don't care who's still there or not there. You know, this is like one of the best teams in the game. And we matched them really, 50-50 possession. We had 1 shot on target each, just they saved theirs. And yeah, it was a corner or a set piece, a free kick or something that we conceded from, so I wasn't too disappointed with that. Followed out with Red Bull Salzburg 2-0, thanks to goals from Roy Brewer again. And Celtic came to town, came to the new stadium, should I say, which is actually called the Eastleigh Stadium. I've just realised that I think it's holds 25,000 people. I was going to ask for it expanding, but its finances are like in minus 10 million or something, so I thought there's no chance I'm going to do it. And yeah, let's quickly load it. They had 5 shots, 3 on target, we had 17 shots, 5 on target, and we drew 2-2. Says it all really, we were all over them but just couldn't score. And Roy Martins popped up in the last minute pretty much to salvage a draw against Celtic, which when we've played them we've had mixed reactions against them in pre-season. We play them quite often, it seems. So that's it really. The board conference say they're delighted, but they say that the sale of Lukunku was an arbitration, which I kind of agree with them. But there's not really a lot I could have done about it. Really, it was either risk like the wrath of him and upsetting all the rest of his teammates, and then having an unhappy camp, which usually stands in bad stead for you. You know, it's one of them. You can't have unhappy players, I don't think, on this game, on this particular Football Manager. If you do, then it takes a long time for them to start performing like to the standard that they should be performing. But yeah, one thing of note I forgot to mention actually on the last episode is Aston Villa joined us in the Premier League. This is alongside Sheffield Wednesday, because we know Sheffield Wednesday won the playoffs, but Villa came up and so did Southampton. So they're the teams that joined us from the Championship. So hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Apologies for there not being a live comment, it's just because I didn't realise it was going to take so long to go through all the transfers and that, but there's been quite a lot happen in the transfer window, and it's kind of gutting that I've had to sell obviously some key players, Davis and Lukunku in particular. They were big players for us last season. It's a big rebuilding job for the centre of the park. Still to do, but with no money at this moment in time. I've got to wait for the finances to increase before I can even ask for some money, and I think then I'm going to be looking at the January transfer window. But Otherwise, hopefully I've enjoyed, like I said before. If you have want to press the like button, if you'd like to see more of this save or anything else that I do, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Sorry, it's that way. Follow us on Twitter, and I'm hoping to at some point go on Twitch in the future, so keep an eye out for that as well. But until the next one, I'll see you then. Bye bye.